Hey guys, so welcome to part one of the Bermuda grass series, and this is where we're going to identify what type of grass we have. I'm not going to get all scientific and go through about nodes and stolons and rhizomes and all that. We're just going to go through with, I'm going to show you Bermuda, I'm going to show you Zoysia and St. Augustine, that way you can tell which one you have, and we'll go from there. So the first one we're going to obviously cover Bermuda. This is one that's going to be most common, and most likely you'll know if you have this. If you don't, what you want to go ahead and do is look at the grass, get down and actually probably part the grass, pull a piece out and have a look at it. Bermuda grass, if you can see here in the picture, is going to have a very fine leaf blade. Normally they are pointed and they're not going to be much more than 1/8 of an inch wide. You can see how the leaves are on the stem, and that's a pretty good way to identify it. Bermuda is always a true green, even though there are different shades of it, but Bermuda is a true green. Where we get into Zoysia, there's a gray and a blue kind of color in there. But this is a good picture here of your typical Bermuda, whether we're looking at common, 419, or some of the other hybrid varieties that are out there. But really, we just want to know that we have Bermuda. If you need to know any farther than that, there are a couple ways to identify between the types of Bermuda. So if you are wondering if you have between common and 419 or another variety, common's going to get a lot of seed heads normally pretty quickly. Your kind of canopy is going to be a little bit more open. 419 is pretty dense, and your leaves are pretty close together. If you're trying to determine between something like 419 and one of the other hybrids, let's say Celebration. Celebration is very dense, not necessarily the leaves, but the entire plant. So you'll have a lot of the plant real close together. It'll be the leaves, the stolons, and it's almost like walking on a mat or a carpet. A lot of times the color will be a little bit darker green depending on fertilization history, but you can determine it a little bit that way. To really know the difference between some of these Bermuda varieties, you have to send it off to a lab. Here's what Zoysia looks like, and if you get down and look at it, the blades are narrow, but they're going to be wider than the Bermuda, and this is specifically for something like Palisade Zoysia, which is our most common out there. The blade's going to be a little bit wider, but it will be more stiff than the Bermuda. Like I said, the color is going to be a little bit different. They'll be kind of like a gray, bluish in with that green, but it's still narrower than St. Augustine. And if you look at St. Augustine, what you will see is that you have a broad, rounded tip blade, normally about 1/4 of an inch wide. And if you see here, it's pretty distinct with the runners, the size of leaf blade, and you will get a lot of times a real thick thatch layer in there, so sometimes it feels like you're walking on a dense carpet or something like that. But here are the pretty simple steps of identifying between which varieties you have out there. Like I said, nothing scientific. We can do a video on that in the future if we really want to get into it, but there's normally not a need for it. So if you'd like to stay tuned for part 2, and what I'm going to do is cover why Bermuda scalps in the summertime. We see it a lot, and we'll go through all the reasons for that and how to manage it. So if you have any questions, just leave it in the comments below and we'll get you taken care of. Thanks a lot.